Could you imagine that 12 months ago we'd be sitting here filming our very first podcast together?
No, it's so beyond what I thought our business was going to look like, but I love that we're here.
I don't know, to have a business together that we're running, that we're doing, that we're invested in so much, it's just truly incredible.
Yeah.
So hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Rebecca.
And this is Abundant Mindset, which is just so cool to say because we've been building to this podcast, we're building this business together, and now we're finally doing it.
Yeah.
And I think we really wanted to touch on today what abundance mindset means to us and what it stands for and why we're here.
Do you want to go into that?
Yeah, I can. So for me, when we're looking at this, and we've been trying to build businesses and trying to build the life that we always wanted for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, before you go more into abundant mindset, you saying that, I'm just thinking about all the things we've done, even over the last, how long have we been together now? 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And how many endeavors and things, we've tried the drop shipping, we've tried so many different projects.
Yeah, a few different social media ventures as well.
Yeah, and it's just never really worked out. But I do feel like with abundant mindset, it's more to our own calling. We're blending spirituality, which we're both really passionate about, and neuroscience and personal growth and inner work and everything to, teach others and share our experiences. People know they're not alone and how to grow and everything. And I feel like it's helping a lot of the population move to this, higher mindset, more positive, more loving, and just more conscious.
Yeah, more higher consciousness, which is amazing because this is what we're truly passionate about. We've been doing this, especially for you, over the last several years, and me the last couple, and realised that this is actually our calling in life, and now we get to teach people about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. And for me, when we came up with the name Abundant Mindset, I was thinking about it before coming on this podcast. I feel like especially over the last year and a half, we've really taken on that mindset part of it, is to understand that it's your identity, that's your mindset and your beliefs that hold the key to everything. Yeah. Whatever your mindset does, no matter what strategy you have, no matter how good of an intention you have, if it doesn't feel safe within your nervous system, doesn't feel like something you can believe, then it's never going to happen for you. And that's, like you talked about, all the adventures and things we tried to do in the past never led to anything. Even if we had the best intentions in the world, eventually we would come to a roadblock or a sticking point and lead to us giving up. And we always thought that was for the right reasons, but understanding now that it was actually our beliefs that led us, our logical mind, to find the reason not to do something.
Yeah.
And abundance, I think abundance is obviously in the word, that we want to make sure that we are as abundant as we possibly can, not just in money, but in our time, having more flexibility, having the ability to see more love in the world, more opportunities, more joy, more happiness. Yeah. All those things we want to be as abundant as possible in. So that's how we really got to the name Abundant Mindset.
I realize I haven't introduced myself. I'm Rebecca. I am Matt's wife. And I agree with everything you just said about Abundant Mindset and how we've come to that name. And it's nice because we were experimenting with a few names and this one really stuck out to us. And then when we looked it up to see whether it was registered as a business name in Australia, it wasn't. And we were just like, of course, because it's the perfect name.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah, definitely meant to be. Maybe we'll start by saying a bit of background.
About ourselves.
About how we got here.
Yeah, how we're working for ourselves and working together.
Yeah. Did you want to start?
Yeah. For me, so I've worked as an accountant for the last 10 years. I graduated, did all the right things in life. I feel like that's stereotypical, where you go to school, you get good grades, you go to university, then you go get a job outside. I left as soon as I finished university, went straight into a job, got that grad program that you always want to get into, a nice prestigious firm, those types of things. Everything looked great on paper. But I always had that feeling that I never wanted to do this in my life. When I was 22, 23, when I first started work, I'm like, I cannot think of anything worse than working for the next 40 plus years in a job, 9 to 5, grinding through, and in something that even though I like numbers and I like accounting on the surface, it was never something that I was truly passionate about. So over the last decade I've been working, I've built my skills. Obviously I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed working with a lot of great people and stuff like that, but it never was my true calling in life. And for a long time I didn't know what that was. I always thought, oh, you need to be, if you want to go and run your own business or something like that, you need a really good reason why. You need to like, I know exactly, I'm an expert in that and I'm really passionate in that, something like that. And I never felt like I had that. But since COVID and since going through the last few years and your spiritual awakening and stuff like that, it's opened something in me and realized that teaching people, I've always liked teaching people and mentoring people, that if I can show them how to live their most abundant life and show them all the things that we've learnt ourselves, then that would be something that it would bring me so much joy.
Yeah.
Because it's truly like going to help so many people, like it's helped us. And then we finally made the decision that we had to take that leap and do it, even if we weren't 100% ready. We can talk about ready. I don't think there'll ever be a ready, but we weren't 100% ready at the time. But we knew we had to do it now.
Yeah.
And that's how I really got to the point where I've quit my job and we've started this together.
Yeah. Myself, I did the same thing, worked really hard to get good grades, got into university. I did a double degree in commerce and law and, got honours and got accepted into the same grad program as Matt, which is how we met.
Yeah.
Because we actually lived about an hour away from each other. So, there's no regrets. The universe has a way of guiding you wherever you need to go. So it guided us into the same grad program.
Yep.
Where we met and fell in love.
Yeah.
So, saying that, I was only at that grad program for about 8 to 10 months. I wasn't there long because...
rough time,
Yeah, just the long hours. I remember it was my birthday and I'd started quite early that day working, and I was working at like 8, 9 p.m. at night. And I remember crying and being like, I should not be crying on my birthday. This is not where I'm meant to be. And I always knew I never wanted to do the commerce side, where we were auditing at that firm. But I had gotten the grad program, so of course I was going to accept it. It was at a prestigious firm. It was straight out of university. So I was there for those 8-10 months until I moved into a law firm, and I thought I had made it because I was at a law firm. I had my own office. There was a little plaque on the outside of my office that said my name, and it felt pretty good, I'm not going to lie. And then after a while it was like, oh, this is not that flash hot. And even then, the department of law that I was in, it wasn't criminology or some of the fancier laws that you see in shows like Suits and things, where it's exciting. It was pretty like bland sort of paperwork, conflict risk assessment. So I only stayed there about 2-3 years, and then moved to our state revenue office, and that was tax law. And as you can imagine, as someone that's quite passionate about spirituality and abundance and things, doing tax law was not fun. But I did meet some great people there. And it was funny because what happened was I was there for about 2.5 years. And then one day I was working and I had this feeling, which I realized was my higher self giving me guidance of just saying, what happens if you just quit without any backup or anything? Just quit now.
Yeah.
And my whole body, my whole gut, everything was like, this is the right decision. So I'd actually had leave planned to go to Japan for 2.5 weeks. So I took that leave.
So when was that? That was November 2022.
2022, yeah. I took that leave, and then when we came back, obviously you're on the trip with me to Japan.
Yeah.
When we came back, the next day I handed in my 4 weeks notice and resignation. And they really didn't want me to leave. They gave me a lot of options. They said, you can go on a 12-month unpaid leave, and then, you can come back. But I knew if I did that. And the thing is, extended family and everything were like, oh, maybe you should take that 12 months. You know, you give it a go, you know, see if you can do a business outside of this. But, you know, at least you have a backup plan. But I knew that if I had a backup plan, I wasn't going to go all in. I wasn't going to go 100% because in the back of my mind, you're like, oh, I can easily go back to my 9-to-5 job.
Exactly.
So, and even at that point, we knew we were going to have a baby. We wanted to have a baby in the next year or two. We were thinking, oh, you know, if we stay or if I put that unpaid leave in, we can go back and get maternity leave or parental leave.
Yeah.
And we still made the decision not to stay and to just quit completely because, again, my gut was saying you definitely have to do that. But if you don't go and take the leap 100%, it's not going to work. You're not going to truly believe if you think that, oh, if it fails, I've got my backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to truly commit to it.
Exactly right. So I quit my job a couple of years earlier than you did.
Yeah.
And I tried my own business venture. So at the time, I had done some healing or some improvement on my eyesight where I had myopia or short-sightedness. I was about a negative 2.5 prescription. And then I was able to get it down quite significantly. So I thought, okay, this is just through natural means, you know, exercises, eye exercises and really understanding how the eye works and everything. So I had obviously done a lot of research myself, was case study and got massive results. So then from there I decided to make an eyesight improvement course. And I can go into that in a bit more detail in another episode, I think. But at the time, I put so much time and effort into it and it didn't perform as well as I would have liked. And now, thinking back on that, you know, 2-3 years later, I realized the identity work, now that we've got so much more knowledge on neuroscience, the identity work and the inner belief work that I still hadn't done at that point to the extent that it actually would have made a difference, because I didn't truly believe that that eyesight course was going to take off. And there was a lot of self-sabotage unconsciously, even though, you know, didn't have a backup plan. So it's so interesting how it all sort of comes together, and
it really does.
Here we are talking about it.
You literally improved your eyesight dramatically, which is an unbelievably incredible thing to do in terms of inner belief and the work you did. But then in a very similar sphere, but in a slightly different tangent, you then didn't have that belief with selling it, and it's just so interesting how your mindset can be so confident on one thing, but then be fragile on another. It's amazing, and that's something that people don't understand, is that you can have all the self-belief in the world in one aspect of your life and not in others, and that means you need to be self-aware to see that. I think that's what you've got now, is that self-awareness.
Well, I feel like I pride myself. I have a lot of self-awareness in a lot of different things, but I think one of the big things with that course, why it didn't take off as well as I thought it would, was fear of success, which seems ridiculous because people want to succeed. But then you've got to think, what does a fear of success actually bring? What does success bring to you? It brings visibility, which can cause you to be shunned from the community if, you know, people don't accept it or don't like it. It can bring worries if it actually goes well and you succeed. And let's say you have a lot of abundance in a monetary value, you know,
more responsibilities, all that stuff.
More responsibilities. Can you keep it up? Can you keep up, you know, being this person that's successful? Will friends, family start asking you for favors, asking you for money because you are successful? And your nervous system almost gets to a point where it's like, I don't want to succeed because there's all these things that could happen.
It's not comfortable.
No, it's completely outside of your familiar territory. So it's it's so interesting.
Looking back on that,
What can be brought up without you even realizing. That's why there's a lot of self-sabotage, I think. Yeah,
and then bringing it to now in the last few months is so interesting. You're talking about visibility and being seen. Obviously, making the decision. So how we made the decision, because obviously you quit your job in November 2022. I kept working after that, and we had our daughter Aria since then, and we always wanted to do something together, neither of us wanted to work a 9-to-5 job, and
we've always said we're going to run a business.
Yeah, and we got to the point where it was like, okay, for a period of time we're like, if we make this amount of money off passive income, then Matt will be able to quit his job. And we eventually got to the point that goalpost will keep changing, and we'll keep moving that further and further away, because it wasn't the monetary value or something like that. It was our belief system to say, no, we're just going to keep pushing that out because it's more familiar, more comfortable, just to push that out and never actually get there.
Yeah.
So we at a point, I think it was 3-4 months ago now, we made that decision that no, we need to do it now. And I remember very vividly, we were in the kitchen, and you're like, we got to do it now. And I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We have to do it now. Yeah. And it was quite funny because you just talked about quitting your job. We made that decision right before we went on holiday again. Yeah. So then when we went to Vietnam, and when we came back the next day, I handed in my resignation. So it was interesting, the symmetry.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, 2.5 years later. So, but the big difference now, and what we realised after like you doing the eyesight improvement course and stuff like that, is that we needed to be seen. We'd done the work in terms of the inner work and understanding that it's our mindset and our belief system, our identity that controls everything, that you need to feel comfortable being seen if you want that fear of success to be removed. So starting this, so talking on this podcast or posting on social media, posting ourselves, because as a little bit of background, Abundant Mindset, or Abundant Spirituality as it was known before, was a faceless account on Instagram and Facebook, and that was a way which I said at the time was like, I'm helping my wife with a business, but what I realized is I was just creating a way for it to not be seen, and to stay hidden, and therefore not reach our true potential. And once we made that decision that I was going to quit my job, it became very evident from the work we'd done that you needed to be seen, and that's meant that we've had to start this, which has been amazing to do. It's brought up a lot, but it ultimately is the way to move through your limiting beliefs, because social media exposes everything. And that's how we really got to being here, which is incredible.
I want to add to that. So right now, and who knows whether this will go up or down, we're posting about 3 times a day of our, faces and things. And the interesting thing that we've learned is that the more you show your mind, you give your mind evidence that you are safe every time you post a video, and you don't die, you don't get, something really bad doesn't happen to you.
You don't get shunned.
It gives your brain evidence. I am safe. I am safe to be seen. I am safe to do this.
Yes.
Social media has been very powerful. Also, I think post you quitting, there's been so much has been brought up, because I guess as a bit of background, I've done a lot of inner work. I have done a lot of different modalities. I have always had, and I really shouldn't say always had, because I've worked on so many layers of it that it is so much less than what it used to be. But I had a belief of not feeling good enough, which is actually probably the most common belief that everyone has, whether they realize it or not. Because I remember at the time, it would have been years ago, when I had this belief sort of came up either through, I don't remember exactly what it was. It could have been through a meditation or this thing called QHHT, which was this belief of not feeling good enough. And I remember being like, of course I'm good enough. Why would I think I'm not good enough? I know I'm amazing. But then the more I dug into it, the more I'm like, hold on. There's so many aspects, so many aspects in my entire life where this belief is coming up, and it's only described, or it's only explained by not feeling good enough. Even little things, because I feel like I'm a lot calmer as a person, and, can see, I've always been able to see other people's perspectives, but not be triggered as much as I used to be, because I've done so much work on this. But going back to you quitting your job, I think a lot of beliefs that we may not have realised were there were coming up to the surface, not only through social media, although social media does bring up a lot of stuff. But not having the stability of an income.
Oh, it's been huge. Yeah.
If like very, very minimal amount of money trickling in, because we only really gave ourselves 3-month backup plan.
Yeah.
In case, nothing sort of came through, and having that belief, because that's what's so important about visualizing and understanding where you want to go, and having that belief of this is the future that I envision, and this is what I'm going to achieve, even when your 3D reality hasn't caught up with you yet. Keeping that that visualization in your mind and knowing that it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Probably has been the hardest part. I think a week or two after you finished up at your job, there was a lot of the tightness of the chest, like, what are we doing? Oh my goodness. So we printed out on a big piece of paper and put it on the wall that said, I am safe.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really nice reminder, because we put it up in the kitchen. So we walk by it all the time, and just seeing it and saying, I am safe. Because your body can get into that sympathetic nervous system where it almost feels like we're going to die.
Yeah, the cortisol comes. That's it's what your body's meant to do, is to keep you safe, and that's what it thinks it needs to do.
Yeah. So, having that sign there as a reminder, I am safe. And every time we see it, every time we read it, we, take a deep breath and feel that felt emotion of being safe. And it's been really, really good to get us back into the parasympathetic nervous system, where we can, grow and expand and get to the life that we want. So, absolutely. Even though we've taken this step to build a business, in our personal lives as well, it's been a massive growing point. And I feel like if you want big things to change into your life, if you want to grow as a person, you have to take these massive leaps. Because, as we've said, there's never going to be the right time. We have a 1-year-old daughter with no stable incomes from either of us. Like, when I say stable, I mean the classic 9-to-5 job salary. Yeah. And when people see that from the outset, of course, people are going to be concerned. They're going to say, what are you going to do with your life? But they don't understand that there's a bigger picture. And I think you were saying it quite well in one of your videos about that they're seeing the outcome through their own fears. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing for me, like you're talking about that uncertainty. When I quit my job, I thought I always had a great relationship with money. I never worried about spending it. But when I decided to quit my job, this was before I actually had. So this was when I was in Vietnam, and I hadn't even put in my resignation yet. I had a big panic attack, because I realized that my safety was tied to the certainty of a job, certainty of a salary. And once you take that away, like, what am I? Like, how are we going to make things work? All this type of stuff. So that was a massive thing for me. And even, I think that what triggered it was my mum. And my mum loves me so much, but she messaged me and said, because she saw one of my videos that I started to put up about quitting my job, said, how are you going to survive? And it's so interesting, like you just said, that it's through people's fears that their own perception is made. So she could only see the opportunity through her own perception, through her own filter. And that filter was based on a job and salary, which she'd always had, and therefore saw it as risk, and therefore as fear that something's going to happen, not as an opportunity where, wow, you can make even more money than you could possibly imagine, and always looking at the negative. So I feel like that's something that people really don't understand, is that your perception creates your reality.
Yeah.
That you can see, like, two people can see exactly the same situation. One person can see it as an opportunity, and one person forgets it by the time they get home. Like, there is a scenario where you make all the money that you could ever have in the world, and there's another scenario where you make nothing, and that's just because what your mindset thought, yes, I'm going to take that leap, or I'm not. And it's interesting, because obviously we've done so much work now, that reticular activating system, which I think is one of the coolest things in your brain, is that, the RAS, is that you can only bring in 40 bits per second of information, but you're taking in millions. So it's whatever you perceive.
You're filtering out so
much.
You
filter out like 99.99% of what you see. So therefore, that's how the opportunities are taken by people, and that's how opportunities are not taken by people, is what they filter for, what their beliefs believe are possible, will then see the opportunity as something that's there that, yep, I can do it, or no, that's a roadblock, that's too much risky. There's something wrong in that situation because my nervous system doesn't feel safe.
We almost had to tell people that had that belief, whether it was, you know, both sides of the family. Like my parents are entrepreneurs in themselves, and even they, because I think, you know, when it's your children, maybe you have a different view because you want to provide for them, more than, I guess, trusting that they can do it themselves. And for both sides of the family, we always had to say, like, oh, you know, if it doesn't work out, we can always get another job. Like, that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And it was sort of funny in a way because we're doing that to ease their worries.
Yes.
But, like, if you really think about it, getting a job where you were at, where we were both at one point, is the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Like,
if it doesn't work out, that's literally the worst case scenario. We can just always go back and get another job.
Yeah.
But there's infinite number of amazing scenarios where we travel the world, where we make an abundance of money, where we help millions of people. Like, there's just an infinite number of things we can do. Obviously, there's the eyesight stuff that we'll touch on in another session, but like, we can already see that happening.
Yeah, and we just want to do what's best for our family as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we'll have more kids and just show them, because they're, you know, before the age of 7, your mind is so malleable. We want to show them and show their filter system that, hey, there's so much opportunity out there in the world. You can, if you want, you can go down the path of, you know, going through school, going to university or college in America, and then just, you know, getting a full-time job, or you can do what you love, what you're passionate in, because actually what you're passionate in, money is just a byproduct of that, because your authenticity, your love for it will attract more abundance into your life. So I feel like that's the difference between, yes, you can go to a higher paying job that you don't like, but you're always going to hit that cap, that ceiling, because, you know, you've only got so many hours in the day because you're working, you know, for a set amount.
Yeah.
And trading time for money. Even if you have a yearly salary, that's still a year for that salary. Even if it's not, you know, working hour to hour. There is more to life than having a 9-to-5 job. And yes, things are going to be scary, but if you don't take a leap, if you don't do things outside of your comfort zone, you're never going to grow.
That is the only way to grow. Absolutely. And the most exciting part about building this together is the ability for us to show our children, like, that anything's possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that they will have that we didn't, is that we had both those paths where you do the traditional, and therefore you only see life through the traditional path. But it's like, obviously, if our kids want to do the traditional path, they absolutely can, but they will have the mindset that they can do it whatever way they want. And they will have the opportunity to explore as many possibilities, as many opportunities as they want in life, which is the number one reason, to be honest, why we're building this, is for them.
Yeah.
It's for us to obviously build it for them and all those types of things and help so many people. But if we can leave this planet with them just having an abundance of opportunities because they believe they can, then that's just going to be everything I need in life.
Yeah. Well, we're only here, as Matt and Rebecca, this is our only lifetime here. So, you know, we might as well make the most of it, especially while we're still quite young and we have our whole lives ahead of us.
Exactly.
Is to do it, not wait. I mean, it's the number one regret, isn't it? Where you speak to any sort of elderly person.
Missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities, missed travel.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have worked so hard.
Yeah,
you know, life passed me by so quickly.
Exactly. Worked too hard.
Yeah. And I think this generation is realizing, and even the younger generations, are that you can do more with life, and we're not stuck on this traditional path just because it's what we've done in the past.
Absolutely. Life is a game. You're supposed to live it.
Exactly. And that doesn't, we should say, it doesn't detract from what past generations have done.
No.
Because they did so well. They have...
With the information they had.
Exactly. And they've brought us to where we are now.
Yeah.
Because we might not have been possible to be sitting here.
Absolutely. We've had a huge amount of opportunities already in our lives. And now we're just building on that.
Yeah, because even as a very brief background, my parents both came to Australia when they were quite young from Greece. And both sides of the family didn't have a lot of money, but my grandparents, both sets of grandparents took that leap of faith to move to another country where they didn't know the language so that their families can do more with their life. And I feel like that in itself has been massive to where we are today.
Yeah, and I think that you touch on that point, obviously, how much your parents have grown from that generation coming in poverty to building the life they want, but then still having those underlying scarcity things.
Well, that's just generational trauma.
That's it, it's a generational trauma. And I think next week we'll touch on that more in our next podcast session, because we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis, putting out these podcasts, which we're super excited to do. And I think touching on that scarcity and those ancestral things is that they will be a massive thing for us to dive into. So, because people don't understand, it's like, why can't I make that money? Why do I keep hitting this ceiling and getting stuck? And it's something that may not even have come from themselves. And 99 times out of 100, it's either before the age of 7 or in their ancestors that have brought through these beliefs and have meant that you're just never going to reach a true potential until you become aware of those scarcity mindsets.
Awareness is that first step. And then after awareness, you dig and delve into it and realize I actually can release these. And that doesn't detract away from what my ancestors went through.
No.
But you thank them and
exactly, and then you can finally move past that ceiling, that thing that's been holding you back. And for a lot of people, that is money and that scarcity mindset. So we'll touch on that more next week. But this has been amazing. First podcast session. You ticked that off. All these things, this bucket list of stuff that we wanted to do for our business, and this has been one of them. So
just even as an experience,
it's
been amazing.
I know, it's been super exciting. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll be doing weekly podcasts. They'll be on YouTube and anywhere else that we can put them on. We're going to have a wonderful time talking to you guys about abundance, about neuroscience, spirituality, bridging those two things together, and hopefully giving you a perspective that not many other people can from both of us living it together.
Amazing. Okay,
thanks
so much.
Thank you.